Right, hello everyone. Tonight kicks off a new series called While the World Burned, You Watch the Manson Girls Sing. We'll explore how some of the most important political struggles of the late 60s and early 70s, like the Chicano Moratorium, were overshadowed by sensational coverage of the Manson trial. We'll watch a film called A Question of Freedom, and I'll pause it at key moments to give context and explain deeper meaning to the words and images and reflect on what was deliberately left out of the national conversation. So yeah, sorry to read off the notes. But yeah, like I said, and next week I'm going to talk about the Winter Soldier inquiry, which is another thing that happened during the Manson trial that was not widely reported on. But yeah, it's a good little film we're going to watch, and it's very interesting. And yeah, and should say R.I.P. Brian Wilson. This is the week Brian Wilson died as well. That this is going out if you're watching this on playback. And also, yeah, other stuff happening in East LA as well, which is just what we're just about to watch was happening in East LA all those years back. Oh, and also I'm going to tie it into because what was happening the day this happened, they weren't in court. It was a Saturday, but the day before is when Susan announced her illness, and so this weekend, and I did a stream about that in the past. If you've seen that, so this weekend is when she was having all her health problems, and so I'll cover that briefly as well. Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's sad. Ryan Wilson, yeah, and seeing all the tributes to him as well from everyone is nice as well, though, isn't it? Yeah, everyone's coming out to pay tribute to him. Yeah, yeah. Brian Wilson from Stoke City. No, no, not that one. No. Yeah, and just I was going to talk about I think called bread and circuses as well. I'll explain that to you when we start the show. Yeah, I'll get on with it pretty quickly because I want to watch the film, obviously. Yeah. No, he was a Major League Baseball player, was he? All right, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. We got Terry. You said a bird flew in your house. While I was watching the intro clip, I saw you say that. Is it gone now? Are you all right? Bloody hell! Yeah. While we were waiting to start. Yeah. At least he's not suffering anymore. He had dementia, didn't he? Apparently. Did he have like Alzheimer's? Yeah. So. Yeah. Right. Giving people a chance to arrive. So I'll start the presentation. Right. While the world burned, you watched the Manson Girls sing. A new series on media fear and the stories we weren't told. While the world burned, protest rage, veterans spoke out, communities demanded justice. You watched the Manson Girls sing, and that became the headline. A modern bread and circuses, which is a phrase from ancient Rome where leaders distract the public with entertainment and spectacle, bread to fill their stomachs, and circuses to dazzle their minds. And what are we missing while the media keeps us watching the circus? See this, and I was thinking about this with the food now. Processed food is highly addictive, and loads of people have got the eating disorder where they just eat themselves into a food coma, haven't they now? And that, so that is like a really extreme example of the bread thing. They're making food addictive, processed food highly addictive, and there's corn oil and vegetable oils and everything that's making everything worse for you than ever. And obviously, yeah, and all the time they're creating spectacles to distract from what the real problems are. That's happening in the real world right now. But we're talking about history, so we're going to talk about what was going on during the Manson trial. So that's the point here, obviously. Yeah, yeah. And the Beatles. So yeah, the Beatles as well. Were they though? Yeah, and would they reckon there's some cultural exports as well? That's another thing. Have you heard about that? That's where the bands are there to make that country look good on the world stage. That's what K-pop's about. It's Korea trying to look good on the world stage, and so like all the Rolling Stones and the Beatles are us trying to make ourselves uh, likable to Americans because in wartime we're allies, aren't we? That sort of thing. Yeah. That's a whole other debate, though. Yeah. Yeah. Right. And so we'll start the film, and I am going to have to switch through slides. I think I have to remove that. How do I switch to it? There we go. Right. To keep it fair use, I have to stay on the screen. I see. I'm going to pause to show key moments.
I am Chicano. I am born for the blood of the Spanish sword and the Indian temple. I am from Arizona, Colorado, Nuevo Mexico, Texas y California. Soy de Aztlán. My grandfather gazed over our fields and watched the stallion roam. The Anglo came not to live as brothers, but as masters. The people of the sun revolted, but were silenced by the gun. Now the winds of Aztlán echo cries of hunger. Now the blood of my brothers flows over the land once ours. I am Chicano. My people are La Raza. Too many Chicanos have died in foreign jungles. Too many have died in barrio streets. Ya, basta. Yo soy Chicano.
This is a moratorium. This is for La Raza.
Yeah, this is the day it happened. This is actually the protest.
Because today is the day of
They marched. It wasn't the march they cracked down on. It was later when they gathered in a park, as you'll see.
throughout Latin America, throughout Mexico, wherever brown people exist. Today is the day of history. And from this day on, La Raza Mexicana shall be history.
Chicanos are marching to protest the high casualty. We have suffered 22% of all casualties in Vietnam, yet we only make up 5% of the total population here in the United States. The Chicano people, through our moratorium, are saying now that the front line for Chicano youth is not in Vietnam, but in the struggle for social justice here in the barrios of the United States.
Before, the people were divided very much, especially during the Pachuco days. Chicano would be fighting Chicano. Now I see unity. Like now you can go from one barrio to another and you're brothers. And this is really beautiful to see people united and fighting for the same cause.
The Brown Berets evolved out of the movement in the Chicano community for social justice. The Brown Berets are a community organization that give new pride to Chicano youth and that educate all the people in the barrios on their social and political rights.
Right, and I just wanted to pause to show slides now. Right, so why were they marching? Right, so it's August the 29th, 1970, East Los Angeles, because our brothers were dying in Vietnam while we were being treated as second-class citizens at home. And the hard numbers were Mexican Americans were, you just said 5%, didn't you? I think the stats wrong, of the US population, but they made up 20% of US combat deaths in Vietnam. What they were demanding was an end to the war in Vietnam, an end to racism in the draft, and justice for communities ignored and over-policed, and the right to live with dignity, equality, and peace. So that was what they wanted. And yeah, I just want to, I won't linger too much on this. You can pause and read it in more detail if you want. But yeah, I just wanted to, I translated some of the things that they're saying that you'll hear them saying over again, because I found it really interesting. I hope you will as well. When they say, "Si, soy Chicano y no me rayo." Yes, I'm Chicano and I won't back down. No me rayo. You hear them say that a lot. That means like, no me rayo is a Mexican slang meaning I don't quit, I won't break, I don't give in. It's a bold statement of resistance and pride. Mi gente es la raza. My people are la raza. La raza means, it literally means race, but in that context, it means the people of powerful Chicano. A powerful Chicano term of unity, it expresses. Pride in indigenous and mixed heritage. Solidarity in face of racism. Cultural survival and self-definition. And Viva la Raza de Bronze, Viva la Raza de Oro, and Viva la Raza de Humana. Sorry about my pronunciation. Long live the Bronze race, the Golden race, and the human race. And the Bronze race refers to the mestizo identity, primarily indigenous and Spanish ancestry. Raza de Oro is poetic, often symbolizes the future generation, cultural brilliance or hope. So that's the young people, the Golden race. And the Raza de Humana, the human race. So the call for universal solidarity and justice. So they were asking, for unity as well, you know. And this, I found this interesting as well. What's Aztlan? You hear them keep saying, "We are Aztlan." In Aztec mythology, Aztlan was the ancestral homeland of the Mexica, said to lie north of Mexico, possibly in the US Southwest. In the Chicano movement, Aztlan was reclaimed as a political symbol in the 1960s and 70s. Activists declared, "This land is ours, we didn't cross the border crossed us." And why it mattered, it asserted indigenous connection to the land and rejected colonization and erasure, and unified Chicanos under a shared cultural and spiritual banner. Right. We'll go back to the film. Sorry, I have to be on the screen.
Of over 20,000 people in the march, more than 7,000 remained to listen to música and speeches from various Chicano community leaders.
We are a bronze people with a bronze culture. Before the world, before all of North America, before all our brothers on this the bronze continent, we are a nation. We are a union of free pueblos. We are Aztlán.
See, it was very peaceful, doesn't it? This is the thing, they're not armed.
A block east of the north end of the park, there is a liquor store. A few people were walking out of the store without paying for their merchandise. Somebody called the police.
The younger kid came back with the police, 2 more squad cars. They pulled up right together, and they were the ones that they had their sirens and the lights. Another car pulled up, and all the police that were across the street had shotguns. And right then and there, I saw bottles.
At this point, there was a small crowd of people reacting to the overpresence of the police. The police had a choice of coming to the platform, using our mic, and asking our Chicano leaders to calm the situation, or to bring in reinforcements and to clear the whole park. Their answer was quick and without hesitation.
I did make an illegal assembly announcement. It become necessary to declare the situation to be a 999.
Many times we stumble. Many times we fall, but we get back up and we know that we have time on our side, that we're going to have a whole lifetime of a raza before us.
Oh, sorry. I meant to pause it before it kicks off. All right. Now, go back to the slides. No, I'm too... No, I forgot to read out the Brown Beret slide as well. Sorry, yes. These were you saw the Brown Berets marching. This is interesting as well. The Brown Berets were founded in 1967 in East LA. They were a paramilitary-style pro-Chicano activist group inspired by the Black Panthers. Their mission fought police brutality, educational inequality, and anti-Latino discrimination. They organized large-scale protests like the Chicano Moratorium and student walkouts, and they ran community programs, free clinics, and a newspaper, La Causa, and the youth outreach. And why they matter here, they led the Chicano Moratorium, mobilizing thousands in August 29th, 1970. Their presence showed this was more than a march, it was organized, political, and rooted in self-defense. Like the Panthers, they used visible uniforms, a militant stance, and direct action to challenge systemic racism. So yeah, you can see they look very militant. So this is probably why they felt the need to crack down on it, I think. But I'd never heard of these. I'd like to hear ask you guys, but I didn't realize that the Mexican Americans had their own like version of the Black Panthers. But yeah, and you just saw how they were in the park. They were just it was a peaceful protest. There was acoustic instruments played softly in the park. Children performed traditional folk dances in colourful costumes. The musicians performed on the stage, and families watched. It felt like a picnic. People sat peacefully on the grass, talking, eating, and listening. Organisers calmly addressed the crowd from the stage, and there was no weapons, no riots, and no threat. And when the shoplifting happened, they started to react to the police presence. The organisers, you heard him say, they offered the police the mic and said, we can try and reason with them and disperse the crowd. But they wouldn't have that. They just declared it an illegal gathering, and this happens basically. It descends into this. You can see the tear gas flying as well. And at one point, it does look like the crowd drives the police back. And I'm amazed the police don't have shields as well. They haven't got any shields at this stage.
I ran because I'm afraid of the police. I met a lady about 63 years old, and I told her, I said, move because the police are coming. The lady wanted a seat. So I went to the first house, and I stood at the porch there, and a police officer came and beat her up with a baton on the head, and that lady just went out like a rag. So then I started yelling, so they wouldn't beat anybody no more, because 2 or 3 officers, and sometimes 6 would get a boy, and they were beating him up. And then they would go and get at somebody else. And some of them, they would take them away. But that lady, they just left her there.
I mean, it's really brutal. And they're beating them. And the tear gas going off. And the crowd are definitely retreating at this point, aren't they? Groovy music. That's for firing tear gas, that gun he's got there. Look. Becomes relevant in a minute, so I keep pointing out the tear gas. Yeah, so I just want to pause again, showing on the slide. You can see how aggressive they were, obviously, with them, and they really didn't look like they were being that aggressive before the police attacked them, do they? So yeah, a few incidents of minor shoplifting were reported in nearby stores. Police claimed they feared a riot might break out, despite the peaceful atmosphere in the park. And there was no warning or negotiation. Organisers offered police the microphone to address the crowd. They refused, and no attempt was made to de-escalate, communicate, or clarify the situation. And so what they did instead was they launched tear gas canisters into the park without warning, and they used sirens. You could hear the sirens going, batons and riot tactics against unarmed protesters. And they attacked people who were sitting on the grass performing or watching their children, basically. But you could see there was footage of people who had picked up bits of wood and stuff, weren't they? Obviously, it did descend into a full-scale riot. Yeah, and I was surprised the police didn't have any shields. They do have some sort of helmet on, don't they? By the looks of things, yeah. But this is obviously before they gave him shields as well. And you see at one point the police get really pelted and start to retreat, but then they come with more and fire tear gas, and that's when the crowd starts retreating, I think, isn't it? Horrible. Right, we'll go back to the film. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, those are mannequins. It looks like bodies, but they're not. They've smashed up a shop and there's mannequins in the road, yeah.
We're not against anyone, against the black people or the white
Oh yeah, this
people.
guy's speech is good. Listen to this, yeah.
We're against oppression. Our organization, our peoples, is being raised in a white person's mind as a stereotype. How the hell are we going to grow up and become anything if the white people keep pushing into our minds that we're nothing but a bunch of Frito banditos, okay? We're a bandito, well, a banditos go to jail, okay? Right, in Norco, the narcotics hospital in Corona, okay, there's almost 80% Chicanos. You know that?
That's a shocking
You know why?
statistic.
Because the Chicanos are trying to escape from their environment. They aren't satisfied. They can't dig it. They can't live in this environment. We cannot live in this environment. The white people have given it to us, and we cannot survive in it. We either have to go to jail or have to die. We're ready to die to get out of it. We've been raised in Alario, but we cannot stand it anymore. When you have to be satisfied to go to jail to get out of it, then you know it's got to be kind of bad.
Rubén Salazar, a Chicano newspaper and television writer who more than anyone else had accelerated the unifying forces in the community, sought shelter in a local bar.
And I was coming this way, and 3 shots came. Then I hit the floor, and when I hit the floor, Mr. Salazar was falling down, and I looked at him, and he was shaking.
You might not live in the barrio, but I've been here since, let's say, since the 40s or whatever. I believe that if they're not gonna listen, this thing's gonna come on again. It's gonna continue until there's a change, because kind words ain't gonna change it anymore.
Right, and that's the end of it. I want to explain more about this Rubén Salazar, who is what? Sorry, it's just my screen going weird. Right, you heard them say about Rubén Salazar, the journalist, ran into a bar for shelter, but he was hit by a tear gas canister. 3 people were killed during this, including journalist Rubén Salazar. 200 to 400 were arrested amid the mass chaos, which is a lot of people, isn't it? 60 plus were injured, many hospitalized after tear gas and baton attacks. Rubén Salazar wasn't protesting, he was reporting, and he was killed, not by a stray bullet, but by a projectile fired into a cafe, a tear gas canister. Veteran journalist, LA Times columnist, KMEX TV news director, and civil rights advocate, he was shot in the head by a tear gas projectile fired by the sheriff's department inside the Silver Dollar Cafe, where it's a bar. He was the first Mexican-American journalist in the mainstream media to spotlight the Chicano movement. His instant death became a symbol of targeted political violence because he died instantly, and that guy said they heard the shots and he saw him fall down, and when he looked at him, he was shaking on the ground. Probably massive brain trauma, wasn't it? Awful, awful death. But people say it's suspicious this man died, and he was probably the only journalist there who was from the mainstream media as well, if you think about it. He would be who they dispatched to report on the Chicano stuff. And he was killed, so this is probably why this didn't reach the press, and people say, yeah, he was really helping the Chicano movement, so it's suspicious he died. Like that. Freak accident. They said it was an accident, obviously, but yeah. Seems odd, doesn't it? Definitely. So yeah, how many of you knew about the Brown Berets as well? I had never heard of them. They don't teach us American history, obviously, though. I'd heard of the Black Panthers, but I didn't know about the Brown Berets. And there's quite a lot about them I've seen as well. It's made me interested in them. I find it interesting. So there's a few films about them that I'm going to watch. But yeah, like I said, this happened during the Manson trial and was completely overshadowed by it, like a few other things. Yeah, you've never heard of him, but you're English as well, aren't you? I don't know. I'm talking about to the American people who are old enough, because I know there's people in my audience who are old enough. Had you heard of the Brown Berets? I assume they're more well known in America. But yeah, I didn't know about them. Hmm. Yeah. So decade after decade, there are calls to sort out the racist, sexist, violent, corrupt police, and nothing ever gets done. Yeah. So that's it, because no one wants to do the job, but violent, sexist, racist bastards. That's the trouble, isn't it? It's a shit job. You have to be some kind of violent, racist, sexist bastard to want to be a policeman, really, don't you? That's the trouble. Yeah. It's the horrible truth, I think. Yeah. God. Yeah. Oh, and of course, yeah, we've got to mention, haven't we, that it's happening now in East LA. But I just wanted to talk about this other thing where I told you about bread and circuses at the beginning. There's a thing called a wedge issue and distraction tactics. This is what wedge issues are. What is a wedge issue? It's a political strategy that uses emotionally charged topics like immigration, crime, or gender to divide the public and distract from the bigger systemic problems. So now versus then. In 1970, the media fixated on the Manson trial, which is crime, isn't it? While war, protest, and police killings were ignored. And in 2025, immigration raids, flashbangs in East LA, and nightly curfews are back in the headlines. But instead of real solutions, we get panic, polarization, and spectacle. And meanwhile, the Middle East is at war, the cost of living keeps rising, civil rights are being quietly rolled back, and most people are fighting each other, not the system that is hurting them. Basically, yeah. So a wedge issue, and obviously all the LGBTICQA++ issues. Again, they use that as a distraction. But they take emotionally charged issues at times when they want to distract us. So this is when they know that immigration is a really, really emotionally charged issue. And also, they've just announced that there's finally going to be a national inquiry into the grooming gangs in this country, and they've waited ages to do it. So, like, why now? Why particularly now? Have they dropped it? It's a distraction tactic, because child abuse is a emotive issue, isn't it? It distracts people, basically. So whenever they're flashing immigration and all these things on the TV, think about it. Look at what are they distracting us from. Like at the moment, World War III is about to kick off, and that, isn't it? And all the Epstein documents and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I don't think it's anyone's gonna stop, are they? Yeah, because people can't see it, and you can't tell people. I try to explain it to people, but no, fucking, it's no good. People because emotion overrides your common sense. That's why they use these issues, because they know as soon as you hear that it's about that, you'll be totally emotive, and it's easy to distract you with it, basically. It's so frustrating to watch the world literally burning while they do this. And this is what the Manson case was used for. And they rolled them out every time. I bet their parole hearings always coincided with some big fucking dramatic world event they didn't want you to be watching, or they rolled out a new interview with Manson or whatever. Because in the end, they made it illegal to interview the men in prison, didn't they, in California, because the Manson interview situation was getting ridiculous. Like, so many people were going in there. Yeah, bread and circuses. I talked about it at the beginning. Yeah, did you see the beginning? That was the first thing I said. Yeah, was about it's called bread and circuses. So they make sure we've always got loads of food, and they make the food mega addictive now, don't they? And loads of people have got this eating disorder where they literally eat themselves into a food coma. This is how come people are getting to be 600 pounds or whatever, And it's creepy the amount of money they spend on making this food addictive, researching it as well, and making they spend millions of pounds on machines to test the crunch of chips and stuff like that, to make them more addictive, more pleasing. Like, why would they spend so much money on that? Imagine how much they must be making if they invest that much money in research into it. It's not just about feeding us, it's about fucking making it addictive and keeping us satisfied and contented and shut up, basically. And it's gone on since the Roman times. The Romans started it. It's from a Roman phrase. And now, now we've got social media and the television and all these things. Obviously, there's a lot more media they can use to distract us, isn't it? And celebrity scandals as well. People get distracted by, but that's starting to stop now. People are seeing through celebrity worship, aren't they? That's not as bad as it used to be. People, excuse me, people don't worship celebrities like they used to, do they? I don't think. Oh, I think I just swallowed something. Yeah. Yeah, stopped eating bread. Yeah, I didn't for a long time. Just because I was finding I wasn't eating a whole loaf, so I just used other things. It was going mouldy before I finished it. But yeah, what's in bread now is basically got a lot of oils in it and stuff like that, which is hard for your body to break down. It's just ridiculous, yeah. And the last slide I had was to tell you about the what was happening in the Manson case on this date. Let's have a look at that. All right, so they weren't actually in court on the 29th, but on August the 28th, court discussions. Well, it was actually in the chambers. Court discussion focused on Susan Atkins' illness. She was reportedly in pain and thought she had an ovarian cyst. It turned out she was severely constipated. It took 3 enemas to resolve, and she reportedly had a history of bowel issues. And she also spoke that day about the birth of her son in a clinic. So, because that was another thing. Because I had arguments with people in my comments. They had claimed that they thought that Susan had Zizou at the ranch, but she actually didn't. She had him in a clinic. They must be confusing. Mary Brunner's the only one that had her baby with them. Sandy went to a clinic. Susan was in a clinic. But yeah, and she talks during her illness. She says, "I've not been in so much pain since I was in that clinic having my son," sort of thing. So she talks about it. And I did a stream about that. If you want to hear more about that. And in the end, the doctor had to testify what was wrong with her, and it comes out that she was really just constipated and had to have enemas. It was so bad. And yeah, so on August the 29th, there was no court session. But while the Manson trial paused, 30,000 Chicanos marched for peace in East LA, and police attacked them with tear gas, and Rubén Salazar was killed. And while 30,000 people marched and were attacked, the nation's focus was still on a woman with constipation. That's what bread and circuses looks like. Yeah, but no, they didn't literally report it, but I left that line in because I just thought that was funny, yeah, because that was literally what was going on at the time. That was what they were talking about. Yeah. And this is a picture of, because we found some footage from the 28th as well, and it was days they were walking in just their prison denim dresses like that. Yeah, I found. And that's totally the last slide, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I find it really interesting. I'll definitely watch the rest of the films I've seen about the movement. And do you know the Cheech and Chong song? Well, they called it Cheech and Chong, but that's actually only Tommy Chong, I think, that did it, called Born in East LA. Maybe I'll play that for the after show. That's a really good one. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It is, yeah. But I did a stream about it. If you find it, I'll make sure it's linked in the end screen if you're watching this on playback. But if you just search my channel for Susan Atkins' illness, you'll find I read out everything, because there's the first day she goes into the judge's chambers and she's making out it's women's problems. I've got an ovarian cyst. You couldn't possibly understand how painful it is. Sort of thing. She's saying, "Oh, they won't do surgery on me because I'm in trial." That's another interesting thing as well. She says they won't do surgery on you until you've been convicted. But then when the doctors finally examine her properly, they find out that she's just really, really constipated, basically, and that was what was causing the pain. And she had to have a load of enemas. Yeah. Oh, God. Heard about the constipated mathematician. He worked it out with a pencil. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. He was not born in East LA, no, but they're taking the piss, aren't they? They're born in East LA. It means that he hasn't got a green card. That's if I won't play it on this, because I'm probably already gonna not be able to make any money, so I've showed someone else's video. If I show that on this, I definitely won't. But I'll play it for the after show because it's funny. No, I think it's a sarcastic term for someone without a green card, isn't it? When they ask you where you were born, you say I was born in East LA. That was the joke, I think. But apparently, no, they seriously did get deported, didn't they? I've got to read up about this, but they actually did. Cheech and Chong mistakenly got deported. Apparently, yeah, that was what it was about. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. No, he's Tommy Chong, isn't he? Oh, fucking hell. Am I getting their names? No, I'm sure it's Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong, isn't it? It's Tommy Chong. Did I say his name wrong? I meant Chong. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, who goes there? Oh, sorry, yeah. Friend or enema? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's about a guy who's actually a US citizen but gets deported, and Chong is Canadian. And he comes back into the country, doesn't he? Yeah, he smuggles back into the country. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong. But it's only Chong that's in that song. So I don't know why they call it Cheech and Chong. Because they did start working separately, didn't they? I think from the 80s onwards they did stuff separately, didn't they? Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. The Chicano Moratorium. We watched a film. Did you see the end of the film we were watching? It was a big protest by the Mexican Americans about their death rate in the Vietnam War, because a much higher percentage of them were dying than was natural for the percentage of the population they made up. So they were obviously sending the Mexican men to do the worst jobs or whatever, weren't they? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, I've only been going 40 minutes, so I don't know. But yeah, that's the end of the film. So if you didn't see it, then you've missed it. You'd have to wait until this comes back up. Yeah. And yeah, I did slides and translated some of the things they were saying, so I found that really interesting as well. I hope you did. Hmm. Yeah, right. Well, I don't know what else to say, so I'll probably end this now and go to an after show. But yeah, next week we're going to talk about the Winter Soldier inquiry, and that is really, really heavy. And I won't even attempt to monetize it because the things that get said are just so bad. There's no way I'll be able to monetize it. But I do want to show it because that's even more serious than this uh, Chicano Moratorium that we just said. And it's like, yeah, they exposed it's a load of Vietnam War veterans got together and exposed like the war crimes in Vietnam, and that was like ignored because of the Manson trial as well. And probably the government just didn't want people hearing about it as well. But that's really disturbing because you get to there's the testimony of the Americal division is on YouTube as well, and it's on archive.org, and we can watch it. And they expose just the dehumanization training they were given basically. And we know that a lot of the people at Spahn Ranch had fought in Vietnam, so had this same training. So it's really quite disturbing, and the things that they must have witnessed in Vietnam as well. I think it's Juan Flynn, Zero, or James Hort, and TJ all were in Vietnam. And lots of bikers were Vietnam veterans, weren't they? So God knows who they were influenced by that was given this crazy dehumanization training and then just let back out into society. So yeah, tune in next week to see that. If you can stomach it, and I'll set it up so you don't have to watch the footage of if on playback you can skip over it, and I'll just show you. You can just watch the slides because it is pretty heavy. The things the guys say. It is, yeah, it is very heavy, and like I say, they use the full language, and that it's like really, really quite shocking. And there's pictures. I was going to try and edit the footage, but I think I would consider it different to a true crime showing the bodies. Like a true crime story is like a domestic thing, isn't it? But this is exposing war crimes, so I'm not going to download the video myself and try and edit it because at 2 points you do see pictures of Vietnamese people in that. Yeah, yeah, and it's really quite disturbing what the men are saying they were trained to do, and they're so young as well. None of them are older than 22. Oh, and I also have found the documentary that Paul Hardcastle got the samples for 19 from as well. If anyone would ever be interested in watching that, we can do an event where we do like a watch party and just all watch it together. And maybe I could do a live stream after it. But it's about Vietnam veterans and PTSD. And it's really good. And there's actually a video of just the raw samples from 19, and that's good to listen to if you want to give yourself a nervous breakdown. But yeah, just the lines that they used. But yeah, we could do it. I think the documentary came out in about 1980, and he did the film, the song. And was it 82, 81, 82? The song came out. I can't remember. Yeah. But maybe one week. It's called Vietnam Requiem or something like that. The documentary. And it was an ABC documentary. Yeah. But interesting stuff in that about and about the crime wave as well. About how many men from Vietnam who were Vietnam veterans were getting arrested and convicted and stuff like that. Which is another scary thing. It's like, oh, did it affect the Manson murders? And how brutal they were. That's the point I'm going to try and make. And I think it probably did. It backfired on them, giving all these men, like just randomly conscripting all these men and giving them all this really brutal training and then just inflicting them back on society really backfired on them, I think. But anyway, I'll end this now and I'll come back in 5 minutes and we'll do an after show. And tune in next week if you want to see the Winter Soldier Inquiry. And if you are only here for all the Charles Watson stuff and whatever, all the Manson stuff that I talk about. So what? Now we've got biker drug wars as well. So it's drug burn, biker drug war, pool boy madness. That'll be the title of my book, and the front cover will just be Texas Belladonna pic. About that, yeah. Anyway, right. I'll see you next week, or at the after show if you're watching this live. Thanks for coming, everyone, as well. Yeah, and I'll see you next week or in a minute.